rid of some of the crust on the edge of my mug. That's better. So we managed to get the pathfinding to work. Last time, at least the rendering. So now we need to get it to function properly. I do want to try something. Let's see. What if we go to our database? And I can't really remember, like, is it... We have an entity list here. But I think that the entity list is different. Like the unit data, this is supposed to be combat units, right? Okay, so here's Rhea. She has an object size of 225. I want to change that to 115. And I want to see how the rendering works in that scenario. Because I'm not so sure it's correct. Yeah. It isn't. So that's not done. So this is what we need to do next. How do we handle that? I feel like it needs completely different logic. But it should be simpler logic. It should be easy. Because here we are determining how it works when you have a size of 2+. And it kind of necessitates that it is larger than 1, so that we can like overlap the tiles with each other and then like compare them and then make adjustments. But if you only have one tile, you never get any overlapping. You always only get this. Like you just add the tile and it's done. And that's where the problem arises. So I feel like we have to do something like... Because here we have new lock.size.whatever. So I feel like we have to do... Here, like, if new lock.x.size x is less than or equals in size to 1. I mean, it doesn't make any sense for it to be 0. So, like, this is only if it's 1, really. Then we have to check. We have to check if pf result dot pathfinder tiledict dot contains key new lock dot position and this is where we this is where it becomes kind of annoying, because we have to do like position minus vector 3 int dot left. And then we have to do this for every instance here, which is going to be 6 different, I believe. No, okay. These need to be plus, 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 plus. And then new vector 3 int minus 1 0 0. And then this is plus 1 left, right, top, right, bottom right. This one, top left, minus 1, minus 1, bottom left. I don't really see how I can really do this in like any differently, to be honest. The only way to check here is to, I mean, basically I have to check the surrounding tiles and just check, like, I mean, not really. There is a better way to do this, I think. At least for pathing, but I'll be right back. I regret drinking some coffee, but it felt like a coffee day. So, what we can do instead of this is we can simply store the previous location. By saying location. It doesn't even have to, it can just be a vector 3 int. Pre-look. Or pre-position equals new vector 3 int -1, -1, -1. And then we have an else here. Here we just do pre-position equals new lock dot position. And then all you have to do is say if new lock dot position equals pre-position, or it's not equal pre-position, then we have to say something like we basically have to do this again. It's basically going to be like if prev position dot x is less than new lock dot position dot x, then we need to say new lock dot edge and this is xy, right? Equals if previous position dot x is less than new location dot pos x, then we need to flip like 2048 or something. But just flipping is kind of ass. I feel like you should always set it and then flip it, because otherwise you might unflip a 0. by accident. But is that... Let's see. 2048 is left. Correct. So... yeah, if the previous position is less than the new location, then the new location needs to have left flipped. However... this is a little bit harder. You need to do like pf result dot pathfinder tile dict new not old no previous position dot edge, and then we need to do the same thing there, equals, except here it's going to be right, and right is one to 8. Why does that not work? All right, yeah. No, you need to remake. Like, you can't change a variable inside the collection. But this is a dictionary of Pathfinder tiles. Pathfinder tile. Temp tile equals that, and then we flip it, and then equals temp tile. Like that. Is this the way? But I don't like this either. Bah, 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 bah. There is a way. Because I just don't like having to access and like create a new temporary tile, access the dictionary, flip it, then replace it. I don't like that at all. But what you can do instead is you can just do something like uint 0. No, uint temp bitwise equals 0. And then what you do is, instead of doing all of this, we just say temp bitwise or 128. That way we set 128 to be true there. And that's all we do, right? We can still set this. That's fine. Like the new location can be altered there, no problem. But then what we want to do is down here, we finalize it here by saying temptile.edge or equals, I think that's or equals. Yeah, no, it is. Temp bitwise. And then we flip the temp bitwise. And then we do that. Right? Because then we only need to do it once. And then here we can just keep doing this. Like if... So it's a little bit... This is then greater than. And then we flip these. This is 128. This is 204. And that's about it. Except that we also need to say if preposition.x, no, dot y is less than new lock.position.y. Then we need to have additional logic. And this should be an else if greater than. Because we need to check the corners, and we should only check the corners in like this scenario. Hello, Gorilla. Just trying to get some programming done. It is difficult. Oh boy. It's always the tiniest things that are the most complicated and annoying. Real name reveal? Yeah, my name is Robin. It's I don't even go by Cashew anymore. I don't actually use that anywhere. It's no, it's not your bad. I've been meaning to change it on Twitch, but I haven't thought of a good channel name, like other than what I already have. And you know, like Robin is already taken. If you can believe it. So I just haven't gotten to it. Plus, it's gonna mean some dude's gonna come in and be like, "What? Who are you? Oh, you changed names. I'm gonna have to deal with that the whole time." But yeah, might even update my profile picture on Twitch from the very silly, intentionally low effort pixel art drawing I made it with my left hand. Hello, Mark. But yeah, okay. So here we also need to say we need to do the same thing here. But I don't think I need to do anything. Okay, so if we have some tiles like this, or let's not overcomplicate it. Let's just go with this. Like this is a turn, right? So here I go up here and then we check like, okay, the previous position is down here. That means we have to check these tiles to see what it looked like, I think. Okay, so this is the hard part about programming, when you need to think about something and you can't. Like, okay, so first of all, this is the first tile, okay? We make that tile there. And then we go up here. This is number 2. Right? And as we do number 2, we have to go back to number 1, and then we see, okay, so because we are one step above a number 1, we have to remove this edge on number 1. And then on number 2, we have to remove this edge so that they're connected, right? And it still has, like, it still has the edges here in reality. I don't know if it actually makes any difference whether they have this or if I should remove those. I think I could remove them. And either way, let's then continue on to this one. This is number 3. And we draw a 3. It's bigger and bigger. Alright, if it's like, no, okay. No, you can't do that. It just needs to be like that. There. Now they're the same size. The one is still smaller, but we can just make that bigger, just for aesthetical reasons. All right. And then on the third one, it's gonna be the same. You know, we delete this, and you know, if we keep the corners there, we then check down and we delete this, and then we check over here, these two. There's nothing there, so we don't do anything. And then we move on to number 4. And then here, we then check over here, and we do the exact same thing again. We delete this, and we delete this. Okay, so I think in reality we can kind of just never bother with the edges, but I think that's the wrong solution, because we might end up in edge situations where we actually have, or there might be another like use case for the algorithm where we end up using a similar thing, but whatever, like, I don't know. I think the correct solution really is to remove the edges on both sides. And then what we need to do is let's remove the edges, right? So that means we're actually removing that edge. And then we need to check, as we're checking here, we check over there. And that's when we remove this edge and that edge and everything. And then we need to check up here. And we see, okay, there's nothing there. And then we check down here. And as we check down here, there's actually a tile there. And so we're gonna actually add the corner back. I think that's the correct solution. Meaning, this is actually going to be plus 16 plus 1024 plus 2048. And this temp bitwise is going to be 64 plus 256. Right? And what this means is that we're deleting the lines, or we're deleting the edges in these directions. The numbers represent the direction, so top right is 64, 128 is to the right, 256 is to the bottom right. So we delete that on both sides. And then what we're doing here is, so this is, we're checking the left tile. And here we are now checking the bottom left tile. So what we're going to do then is we are simply going to add the bottom left tile back, which is 1024. And that's on the old tile. The new tile does nothing. And then same thing here, except this is then the top, which is 16. But then this should not be an else, because in both of those might actually, like the tile might be there. Not really, actually, but we can still do that, right? And then we go down here and we see here we're checking this is to the left. So then let's add 16 plus 1024 plus there. And here we are simply doing the opposite. We're doing that and that. And then we need the same thing here again. Now it should be inside. That. Previous position dot y is less than (64,256). This is less than, so that's 256, and this is 64. That's so complicated for me since I've never seen programming. This is it's honestly not that complicated, but it's a little bit cryptic. That's what this is. It's a bit cryptic. Because I'm doing something here that's a little bit special. You know, like normally all you have to do is just type like integer number equals 0. And then this just means that number is just 0 now. Like if I set this to 100, number is 100 now. But how is the number 100? Right? That's the complicated part. What does that mean? And that's where bits come in. So any number consists of a series of bits. And depending on which bit is flipped, the number is a different number. So if the first bit is switched here, that means the number is 1. If the second one is flipped, it means the number is 2. If both of those are flipped, they then get added together and the number is now 3. So, you know, like if you want 100, what does that look like? Then you have these 3 are flipped for it to be 100, right? But what I'm doing is I'm like hijacking this system and making it mean something else. So I have 8 directions, right? So top left, top right, right, bottom right, down left, left. So I'm just saying like the first bit here means top left. This one means top right, right, bottom right, etc., etc. And then I'm just using that to determine like if I'm checking this tile and I check down here to see if it has a neighboring tile, I can then just flip one of these bits here to say like, yep, there was a neighboring tile to, you know, below, and there's one on the top, one in the top left as well. And then I just have a very like compact way of storing that information. And then I can just use that to change like which edge is supposed to be drawn. So like in reality, almost everything that you do in programming is really simple. Like logically, it's not very difficult at all, but the difficult part is figuring out like a good solution. And you don't even have to do what I'm doing. You know, I'm just using this to like save some memory and like make it a little bit more compact. Like you could easily make a bunch of variables here called like up, down, and then you could say, okay, down is false because there's nothing there. Or you could set it to true, you know. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. Programming is actually very easy. Making really good code and making complicated things, though, that's where it becomes harder. Because you need to know, you basically need to be a good designer to know how to make a thing that works well. And you also need to know a little bit about programming too. Like what is bad to do with programming? What's gonna make this lag? That kind of stuff. And this should be like an else if. No, this is wrong. Oh, this is wrong. Jesus, how should I do this? This doesn't make any sense. Well, there is this. Should enable TTS. What, for $2? Or for points? Well, I don't know. It depends on the channel. Maybe. I'm a little bit unsure about it because I am quite sure that it's gonna get abused a little bit by some random people. That's like the main reason I'm not really sure if I want to do it. Should be VIP. Maybe. 100 points, dude, that's nothing. That's like... How often do you even get points? It's like pretty often. Usually they're 25. Dude, if TTS is 25 on a channel, they definitely have as many viewers as I do. I would make it like 2,000 minimum. That's a minimum. Maybe there is some auto moderation in like text to speech lab. What is it, like TTS lab or some shit? That's for AI. Cost money? Free 0. $400 AI voice alerts per month. That's not a lot. Download. I might take a look at that later. But, okay. So this here, I was hoping this would just be, I could just save it as that, but this needs actually to be, this needs to be a Pathfinder tile. New Pathfinder tile. New, or vector 3 int. Which one is like negative? I don't think there is one that's just all negatives. New vector 3 int -1 -1 -1. Grid color 0, edge 0. Let's set it to -1. Okay, now it can't be -1. It's a uint. Something like that. And then here we have to say pre-position dot tile position. This is a location. So what we're gonna say is pf result dot pathfinder tiledict dot try get value temp key, and out should be brave position. Out brave position. All right. Something like that. think the biggest issue with TTS is if I do that, I probably have to get rid of YouTube. But I've been meaning to do that anyway. All right, so this is gonna be a little different because I cannot actually check the previous, like the edges, the edges. So what I have to do is, if previous position tile position.x is less than new location .position.x, that means we're checking to the left, and then we're removing edges, right? But what we have to do is, instead of checking the previous position's tile position, what we need to do is we need to say if previous position dot edge and 1 no and 512 does not equal 0. Then we're gonna set it might be okay to just say prev position dot edge and then say 256 there. Because then we're checking if the previous position no, it needs to be 0. If that equals 0, that means there's no edge down as we're heading to the right. And that means that there needs to be an edge on the corner. And here we're checking if it's above. So it's gonna be like this. But it's gonna be 32. If there is no edge on the bottom, add bottom right corner. On the top, add top right corner. Which is 64. All right. And this should then just be like that. And then previous position edge here. We can once again say, once again do this. And then we flip that. My brain. All right. Okay. This is still the same, except this should be 1024 and this should be 16. And this should be Reeve edge, not temp bitwise. And this here should be the position. There. So then we alter the previous position and then we overwrite the previous position's edge value. And that should be fine. And like right now, there's no diagonal movement. There might be. We haven't really decided either way whether we want diagonal movement. But let's leave that for now. But there might still be. I think there should be. Whether there's diagonal movement or if there's diagonal targeting, for example. Like, if you're shooting an arrow, you shouldn't be able to just shoot only up or down or right or left. You should be able to shoot that arrow any way you want. And then that's going to need pathfinding. And the same for like a fireball or whatever. Like, you should be able to shoot that any way you want. And in reality, I would like that to be the case for almost any, like, our AoE, where you can just target any way you want in a full circle. But that's an experimental thing that we're definitely gonna have to do later or further down the line. Boy, oh boy. All right. Right, that's wrong. 512 32. That's up. Yeah. And then we need to say if tile position Y is greater than new location Y, then we need to do this except let's see. 204, 2048, that's when the previous position is greater than new location. So then for the previous position, we delete the left. All right, so this is on the right. It's the opposite of whatever side it's on. So here it's going to be, it's on the top, so we're going to delete the bottom. That's 512. And the new location, we are erasing the opposite, which is 16 plus 32 plus 64. And then we are checking 128 and 2048. And then we are 128, that's the bright, so then we're adding 64. And here we're adding 16. I think. Else if, and then we flip it. 512 is then 32. And this is then 1024, no, 256 plus 512 plus 1024. And then we're checking that. So this is now 256 and this is 1024. That should be it. This might even be done. However, we need to do one thing. We need to say if new location dot position does not equal previous position dot tile position, the first thing here that we need to check is if previous position dot tile position does not equal new vector 3 int -1 -1 -1. Because that means it's uninitiated or uninitialized. So we can try that and see what happens. It is still bugged, but I think it's only bugged in one place. A little bit hard to tell if that's an outline or not. I think that's an outline. Kind of weird. Because there it's like it's not outlined at all, which is very strange. Like when I go down, when I go up, it's like there's an edge there, which there shouldn't be. But you can see when it's highlighted here, there's an edge there, which there also shouldn't be. I think I know what's happening. So perhaps so here the new location is visited tiles. New lock. I see what's happening here. So first I get my let's see. Pathfinder tile dict. It has something to do with this up here. Okay, so Pathfinder tile dict is we add the first location to it here. So here, previous position should be EF tile. And That might now work slightly better there. I still think there's a value incorrect further down. But one thing is, like, one step is good. Yeah, so now it is no longer it's no longer drawing an edge next to the marker. But I'm still unsure. But I think it's drawing an edge there. Yeah, it is. I think. It's really hard to say. Okay, no, yeah, it is. Like, if we go here, it's actually being overlaid on top of Rhea, which is incorrect, by the way. I mean, it could be like good that it's that way, but it's not the way I've programmed it, not intentionally. So there we can see that there are still edges between each step. Which is like, okay. This should work. I don't see why there would be a problem here. But you can see here, this is now also busted. And this was working. So why is this affected? You can tell really well if it's not working when you go up to the yellow. If you look here, it is actually... It is working. The previous tile is being overwritten. But the new tile is not. Why? I mean, am I doing something wrong here? I don't think so. Unless these need to be like explicitly set like that. I don't think that should be the case though, but I mean we can try setting everything to uints. I think the C# compiler is smart enough to figure it out, but the HLSL compiler, I don't know if it's the compiler, I'm just saying stuff, but the HLSL compiler is not smart enough to figure this out. There you sometimes need to specify that it needs to be a uint, and you need to like very specifically use brackets and conversions properly, otherwise it doesn't know what the fuck is going on. But I very, very, very much doubt that's what's happening here. Yeah, no. But we do have a clue, right? And it's this. Why is this broken now? Right? Like there was no reason for this to break, because it worked just fine before. So if Pathfinder tiledict contains key temp key, else it goes in here. And here all we're doing is we're checking that. But if previous position dot tile position is less than new location dot position dot x, but this also needs to be like if new lock dot size dot y equals 1. I think this is x. Or should this be size x? This is size y. So now that seems to work correctly again. But this is still broken. Why does this not work? I'm very confused about that. And it does work, right? Like Because if I go here, like if you can tell when I do this, you can see that the size of that tile kind of changes. And that is happening because when I am over here, the upper edge is actually being removed properly. And when I move over here, the right edge is actually being removed properly. But the bottom edge is not being removed properly. So it actually, it starts where the pointer is and then it goes down. And that one is bugged. It's not removing anything there at all. And then it goes over to the left. And as the left one is the new tile, right? It is properly removing the edge from the new tile, but the old tile is not being adjusted. And then it goes down, and there the new tile gets the edge removed, but the old tile does not. Why? Because all I'm doing here is I'm adding edges back to the previous position. That's really all. And then here, pf result.pathfinder tiledict.previous position.tile position equals previous position. Does this not work? So is it this? Like, does this not properly overwrite? Or something? Like, I don't really get it. What if we do like either that or the math is still retarded. Like, okay, so we're checking these. If they are not the same position, which they shouldn't be, if new location dot size equals 1, previous position dot tile position is less than the new location. I don't think my bits are wrong. Anything like that. I don't know. I genuinely don't know what the fuck's happening. So this should be, when I move over to the right, this should like delete all the edges. But it's not doing anything. And even here, like, it's got double edges there. It's like it behaves differently. Like there might be something with the renderer there. Here now that's different, right? It's getting deleted. So it is working. But for some reason, it only works on the new location. So I guess let's try doing something like this instead, like pf result dot remove prev position dot tile position dot add. And it still doesn't work. Why? Next test, see if it's that dumb. Can potentially be that dumb. That's not it either. I might have an idea of why this is happening, actually. I think I know. I think I know. If I do this, let's confirm. If I do this, that fix it? Yep. All right. Well, that's good. Now we know why it doesn't work. So basically what was happening was that the pathfinding was pathfinding all the tiles that the unit can stand on, or that the unit takes up, rather. So, a little complicated, but the unit is three-dimensional, right? So, even if we have a unit that is 4 tiles in size, it actually has a height. That height might be, normally it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's actually the size of this. Right? And what's happening is that it's going through that, and then it goes up. And it goes through that, then goes up again, checks that, goes up again, or checks that, and then up again until it's checked all of those, right? But this is added as a path. Which it's kind of weird that the movement is like working, but yeah. And so what was happening was exactly that, but we only had one tile, right? But because it was 5 tiles high, it checked like that. Or rather, it checked that. And then it added that to the checked tiles. And as I was trying to check this tile against like this tile, which would have been the previous tile. But because it does this, it stacks it up, and then it goes to the next one. For this, the previous tile is actually like this tile up here. And that's why it doesn't work. Or rather, that's not true. It's I think it's like this becomes the previous tile every single time. Because it goes from the top down. Top down, top down. So here it's just, it's checking against it, this one, that's the previous one. And then it's like, okay, the previous X and Y is the exact same as this one, right? So what we need to do is we need to remove that from the path. Or we need to remove that from the pathfinding, like entirely. But before we do that, I'm gonna go for a little walk, take a little break. See, it's fine. Like, I do want to check the height of the unit, but I need to check the Z, but I need to not add the Z as locations. Right, like that's what needs to happen here. For every X and Y, we need to check all the Z's up. And once we have checked all the Z's, that's like the green light for adding the X and Y tile to the pathfinding. And we're not gonna add the Z's as like individual tiles. Which is also not entirely correct. But we'll have to expand on that later. For now, I'm okay with them just being able to walk on a plane surface, but there will be like stairs and stuff like that they should be able to walk up on. And that's where things become a little trickier. But not that much. I think it'll be easy to do that. It'll just be like adding an addition to that where like I'm checking, okay, we're walking somewhere and then we check the tiles there. And as we see that that was a wall, the character then needs to have like a variable that tells us what kind of elevation it can what kind of elevation it can scale, right? And if we find a wall, we have to check collision one step above, or as many steps above as the scaling value will allow. And if we find somewhere that we can walk there, then we have to set the new baseline for the Z to be there for the rest of the pathfinding. So like that should be relatively simple. What will be weird though is like, let's say standing in a staircase. If the staircase is like one time, like if it's a, how do I put it? If it's a staircase that's steep, so like each tile is one Z higher than the other one, then a character would need to be able to take up like a space that isn't just the same Z, like different Z values or different parts of the object needs to be able to occupy different Z positions, which will be kind of tedious. But like I said, that will be entirely doable too. It's just kind of weird. But that'll have to wait. It's not important. All right, so readjust Z values and how they are stored after I come back. So I'll be back soon. Yep. Time to keep going for a little while. Should I stand? I stand. I just came in, so let's sit for a little while. It hurt everywhere. I lifted some weights Monday and it hurts everywhere. It was like very basic lifting too, but it's over. It's terrible. That looks terrible. Custom Helldivers controller, and it looks like absolute garbage. To me, at least. Like, maybe it's because the buttons are transparent, but I feel like I can just already feel how poor it would feel to press these buttons. Because they're so close to the plastic. Like, that's, you don't want that feel. Hello, Anastasia. How's it going? Oh. Okay, so it's this part here, the Z. I'm not actually, like, I'm not validating the tiles. They get added to visited tiles. And here... Oh boy. It's a little big right now. Like, we have to change a bunch of things here. How should I handle this? Because it's a little... It gets weird. I think I'm overthinking it a little bit. But here, for example, I'm setting the temp iterator here to be XYZ. And we really do not want that. So right now this should just be 0 while we make it work. Hello, Roro, how's it going? I wonder if that's enough to fix it. Let's try that. Let's set this back to 115. That works. It works, but it doesn't. It's kind of weird. Well, okay, it does work. It's just not drawing it through the wall. Okay, so that was a bug based on the draw height. Okay. So if I go up here, it no longer draws on Rhea either. Okay, okay. Interesting. And it's got a corner there. Got a corner there. Corner there. Corner there. Alright. So if we switch her back to 225. That works. All right. All right. So what's that gonna say? Index out of range. Oh. I'm not returning there, but it's not... Like... Movement attempted is what it's saying. I don't know where that came from. I don't know... Oh, I see it. I see it. That's... The length should be the path there. Alright. Let's see what we can do with that. Okay. Movement is back on the menu. Okay, but if that works, then what? Then it's like we have to... fix targeting. Ooh. Maybe this one's just better. For the time being. Oh. All right. Now, you know what? Let's raise this table. My biggest programming weakness is having to move to a new thing. Because usually when you are like trying to solve one thing, you have to like really get into it and have like the entire scope of it in your head. And oh, the camera is glitching out. Very cool. I don't really understand why it does that. Like, it's so weird. Is that just a cable thing, or what the fuck? It's like, why did it start doing that? Why did it stop? It started doing that when I opened it up. I fixed the lens. But it's not like the cable is wiggly or anything. I don't know. Just fucked up. But yeah, having to like get into the headspace of another solution or another problem is really kind of taxing. That's why usually when I manage to solve something, that's like my limit, but very beautiful picture there. So this was the movement script, right? So basically since that works, the next thing we need to do is fix targeting. No, before we move on to targeting, the movement distance grid is actually not generating, so that's not done yet. So let's focus on that. The targeting actually works, apparently. There's no way the AoE works though. No, AoE is busted. Um, Draw static grid. Here. Draw static grid. Research. It's only inputting a unit. Means it's that. So here we have movement. And here then it goes down to movement / movement path / targeting. And we are setting an origin, creating a location, and then we're generating an edge matrix. And then here, pathfinding mode equals movement path. Hello, Kibs. I don't know what you're saying. Oh, you spelled Swede wrong. Okay, I understand. I understand now. So we are adding visited tiles, right? And then here, we then have pathfinding mode movement path. But this is what we need, right? This else, this is generating the movement grid. So this is where we need to add a bunch of code now. I'm gonna type else if pf data dot pathfinding mode equals movement. I don't know if this is meant to contain AoE targeting. I think it is, but let's add that later so we're more specific with what's happening here. But basically, I think we basically have to do the same thing here. That we're doing up here. This. It's a little bit harder here. quite a lot more difficult. Hello, Wisteria Petal. How's it going? Yeah, we're fine. Just struggling with the code. Visited tiles. Okay, so visited tiles have a position and a size. I'm working on pathfinding, but mainly, this is kind of ugly, but I'm mainly working on drawing paths for pathfinding, like this. And I just managed to get the path working. It was working before, but it had some bugs that I had to fix. You can now draw a path like this, but what we need now is it needs to show the range. So like there needs to be, you know, it needs to display like this, but it should display what your movement range is. And that's what I'm trying to figure out now, but it's really quite difficult for what I'm doing. Normally it's quite simple, but it's a little more difficult here. So it's mainly because I want them to have outlines. Like this has outlines. You can see it clearly with the yellow. It's got an outline there. And the outline is very difficult to manage. But yeah, otherwise the project is a turn-based RPG with tactics style gameplay. Wants your assistance to design. Yeah. 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 No. Fucking hate these graphics designer bastards. Like, fuck off. Holy shit, it's so tiresome. Like, every single person who comes in is a fucking scammer. Either that or they're just like really shitty, annoying artists. I hope that the AI takes all of the jobs. Holy fuck, they're so annoying. Jesus Christ. I'm a graphics designer, by the way. Do you need anything for your channel? Oh my god. Fuck you. I don't think a single one of them is legit, by the way. Like, anyone who comes in and asks that or messages you about that is a scammer. Alright, so this is where I was, right? So this does not need to find a path. Oh my god. It's so much worse as a small streamer too. Because it's like 80% of the people who come in and say something is a scammer. And you have to like interact with them before you ban them. Like, it's so annoying. They pretend to be real people for a while. And it's like every single time it's like you wasted 10 minutes of energy just talking to some fucking... The thing is, I don't know if I think all of them are bots. Like, I have definitely had people come in who react to what you're saying. So, like, either they're AI bots, and I think some are AI bots that can actually react to what you're saying. But I think a lot of them are actually people as well. Or have been at least. But now I do think more and more of them are actual AI. I do have people who come in who are AI. Like 100%. Because like all they do is like they just kind of chat. It's super weird. They come in and they like chat. Like there was one guy who came in and talked about Path of Exile. And it was like talking to ChatGPT. You know, like he reacted in like a millisecond with just random laughing at nothing. And but at the same time, when I asked him like, what are you playing in Path of Exile, he did react with an answer to that, but it was a pretty generic answer. And then he like copy pasted my title and was like, wow, paste title, you know, very interesting, you know, that kind of stuff. So it was like, I'm like, yeah, okay, so there are like actual AI bots that react now. And that problem is gonna get a million times worse very soon. Yeah, no, it is mainly on Twitch. So like you probably have like a lot of actual AI bots from Twitch, yeah. There's no way that was a real person. Because I've had the same thing, and they come in, and I was streaming programming that time, and a person like that came in and reacted to what I was saying, and then they were like, oh wow, Path of Exile, like, this is a very interesting game, or whatever. But I wasn't actually playing Path of Exile. I had just forgotten to change the category. Yeah, it's insane. But it's, you know, like, Quinn69, when I watch his channel, he does a lot of AI stuff. And he has an AI assistant that he can just press a button, and then he tells the assistant to, like, ban people in the chat with his voice, right? Like, he tells the AI, ban people in chat for saying this and that in, like, the last 30 minutes. And the AI bot does that. And he can also hold a button and just be like, write a note for me that says this and this and that. And then it does that, right? So, like, it's not a very large leap from that and having an AI bot that can react to voice and respond in a chat. Right? It's the same thing. So it's 100% doable, right? Which means they're doing it. You know, if it is doable, they are doing it. 100%. No doubt about it. No doubt. Oh, man, that threw me off so bad. How do I fix this? I need to do the same thing here that I'm doing up there. I wonder if I can use the exact same formula too. Like, not really. I hate doing it this way, but all right. So here's the start, right? The start has edges. And then we do this. Let's do that, right? And all of these have edges. And the goal is to remove the edges. Right. So and the way it works is that we have a target that's like out here. This is the target. This is the target. This is the target. So if we start here, we then pathfind back to the origin. So, or we don't exactly pathfind, we follow the path back to the origin. So as I go here, we start here, and then we go here. And what we have to do then is we compare this to that, and we then check, okay, we came from there, that means we can erase this. And in the old one, that means we have traveled in this direction. So we go back to the old one and we erase that, right? So then we have that. And then it continues back to here. And then we do the same thing there. we erase this. Now, in reality, we actually have corners. As well. And this works here, right? Like we have a path here now. But it's not gonna work. Because the next step that we have to go through is this. We start here. And then this has a path back. Yeah, no, I do understand exactly. It's just I need a method to make this work. And my previous method worked, but it only worked. It only worked when the origin was like this big. It didn't work with if the origin was just one tile. So if we ever had units that were smaller than like Rhea, the pathfinding wouldn't work properly. But what's going to happen here now is when we trace this back to the origin, it's going to either step over here or down here. And if it steps over to the 1, then we know that, okay, we came from there, we can remove that, and we can remove that. And then that works. But that means we never step in here, right? So these edges are going to continue existing. So this whole solution does not work. And that's the big problem. I'm thinking maybe storing the distance in each tile could work. I think that's like the best solution I can think of. Because it's, you know, normally this would be really simple, right? Like you just create this grid, right? You have this grid, and then you just go through it. You're like, okay, we check this one, and then we check the surrounding tiles. Like we check there, 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 there. All right, those are empty. So then we know that we have edges there. And then we check these, and then we're like, okay. So there's no edge here because there are tiles down here. And then you do the same, like you just go through it. And that works if you only have a size of 1 for the object that needs to be able to move. But like I showed this before, so the problem is like, if we have a larger object, here, and then we have another object like over here, what happens is if we draw Rhea's movement distance here, she's gonna be able to walk a certain distance here, And once we get down here, it's going to completely break. There. Now it's broken. Because you can't actually stand here on those. But now, this is Ria's max movement distance, right? So you would think that, okay, we can just do the same thing and just like draw outlines, you know, like this. Right? And then that would be fine. But that's not true. Because Ria's max movement is this far if she moves over there. And if she moves below here, her max movement is here. So this here actually has a limit of here. So we need to have the outline look like this. Because this is like collision and she can't move here, right? And that means that if I just check this tile here and we check all around it, you know, these are just tiles. So the only way to make this work is to have some way to like be able to differentiate this tile from this tile and from that tile. You know, this has to be unique in some way. But even if I make this have like a distance traveled thing, it's still gonna be weird. Because this tile and this tile, they have the same distance traveled. Kind of. Like, not necessarily. It's just like, she travels from the bottom corner over there. So, and from there to there, pretty much. So, it would still be kind of weird. I was doing like, I was flagging these as like final tiles, but even then, if all four of these are final tiles, like it just easily ends up looking like this instead. Oh, Rapier. It's going okay. I'm stuck on the same problem I have been stuck on before. I have solved this already, but it's in a different part of the code. And I'm not sure exactly what the full solution to it was. You know, it was solved entirely by only checking the tile you came from. So that might still be... Yeah, I think that's the solution. I need to have two different solutions. That's the reality. So the way I was doing it before was when you have an origin that is 4 in size, like a unit, what we're doing is we're just we start at the end, and then we just create edges like this, right? And then we take a step back in the path, which then ends up here. And then I try placing an edge here, but then I check against the previous tile. And if the previous tile has an edge in the opposite side, where I'm trying to place this edge, which is like this edge up here, it then removes both edges instead, right? So it does this. And then it moves on to the next. And it tries to draw some shit here, which it does. And then it sees, okay, here there's an edge there. So, and there's an edge here. In that case, we're just going to delete both of these. And then we don't draw an edge here. For whatever reason. There was some logic there. And then it just does that. And as it goes back, it manages to fix this issue by using this solution. But this solution doesn't work when you only have one tile. So what that means is that I'm gonna have to re-implement this solution for the new system and make that work again, which should be easy actually. But for this has to have a different system. So if you have a unit that's 1 in size, instead what needs to happen is we have to do it the simple way of just first we generate the whole grid like this, and then we go through it and we just do what I said before. We just check all the tiles surrounding. And then we just remove this and that. And then we just go through it like that. You cannot do this with this system. It does not work. But with this system, I'm 99% sure it will work, because you can't have the same edge case. This cannot happen when you only have a unit that's 1 in size, because it's uneven, right? So like even if I have this here and we have another, well, we can just put it there, right? As we're trying to pathfind around this. That edge case cannot exist. Like, either we can move all the way around both directions, or we can't. You know, so that problem is solved there. Now, yeah, no, that's fine. So that is what we're gonna have to do. That is going to be what we have to do. So it goes here. Implement old bitwise generation for 2x2 plus size objects. Implement basic neighbor checks for LW for 1x1 size objects. It's also going to be a bit tricky if we have like objects that vary in size, because then you're going to have to take rotation and stuff like that into account, but that comes later. But yeah, no, I think that's probably going to be it for today. I don't think I can start that. I did manage to fix the pathfinding and the drawing for both 2x2 size objects and 1x1 size objects. So that works again. It's just the static range grid that doesn't work. And that needs to be fixed. Like this works. And moving works. Yeah. But this is gonna be too big to start today. Unfortunately, but it is what it is. So I think we'll stop there. And I might stream a bit later. Enshrouded hardcore mode, permadeath, survival difficulty. Even as several pixels, yeah. But yeah. Yeah. That'll be that. I'll see you later. Thanks for hanging. Have a good night. Whatever. It's middle of the day.